Dr. Anthony Fauci warned the Senate that schools need to stay closed until the outbreak is controlled, especially since a COVID-related illness that affects children has popped up out of nowhere in 15 states, killing 3 children here in New York. But you know who has other ideas. Take a look.
To me, it's not an acceptable answer, especially when it comes to schools. The only thing that would be acceptable, as I said, is professors, teachers, etc., over a certain age. I think they ought to take it easy for another few weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, who knows. And if you have a heart problem, if you have diabetes, if you're a certain age, it's certainly much more dangerous. But with the young children, I mean, and students, it's really, just take a look at the statistics. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I guess he forgets that people have all kinds of different body things happening with them, regardless of what age. But Joy, your grandson is school-aged. Do you feel okay with him getting right back into class? You do?
Let's see, do I listen to a immunologist and scientist, or do I listen to someone who suggests I inject myself with Lysol? Listen, I wonder if he's sending Barron to school, by the way. I mean, that would be an interesting thing to ask. You know, we all know he's a liar, and he only cares about being reelected, not how many people will die. So we do not listen to anything he says. Subject number 1. Now, 164 kids have gotten sick in 15 states, as you pointed out, in New York, I think 3, from a corona-related disease. It is particularly sinful to send black children back to school without adequate testing or without a vaccine, because we now know that the black community is being impacted by this disease more than Caucasians. And there must be a very important reason. I mean, there are some ideas floating around, but at the moment we don't know what it is. So the jury is still out on that. So it's dangerous for black children. So let me just point out that the White House now has 50% incorrect testing. So the tests are not working. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be discussed before he's ready to send my grandson back to school. The question remains, if he says you have to and it's mandated, if I keep that kid home, if his mother and father keep him home, does that mean that they are liable for something? Will they go to jail? I don't know. And I'm going to make one more point. The people talk a lot, and on this show, too, we've been talking about how people are out of work and they can't pay their rent and all that stuff, and that's why they're going out in various states and making themselves at risk and other people at risk because of their behavior. The Democrats have proposed a massive bill which would provide help for rents and mortgages, household cash, which I guess would mean food, state governments to pay their workers, testing, mail-in voting, and support for the post office. Mitch McConnell says it is not realistic. Kevin McCarthy, I believe his name is Kevin McCarthy, the House minority leader, he says it's a liberal wish list and a waste of money. So we were able to bail out Europe, as I pointed out many times. We helped to support Iraq after that war, but we do not want to help our own country. So everybody has to understand Republicans are hell-bent on protecting Trump and his re-election chances, and Trump is not caring about your children or you. I would say that you should listen to Nancy Pelosi, and you should listen to Fauci, and listen to this guy Bragg today, who is right on the air testifying now. So that's my answer. And what about you, Whoopi? Would you send your grandson, your granddaughter back? Would you do it?
Well, what I say to everybody is you first. You know, everyone's very comfortable suggesting that I endanger my family, but they all have access to testing. That's the part I don't get. And I say, if you really feel that strongly, you should have to devote 1 week. Everybody who wants to open right now, no matter what, should devote 1 week at a hospital to see how long they can handle what folks are going through and what these folks on the front line are able to do. You know, he keeps ignoring, and I knew this would happen because Fauci became the focal point. And whenever there's a focal point that isn't you know who, it's a problem. So now he's ignoring Dr. Fauci. What do you think his plan actually is? I mean, they have lots of tests, and the schools don't have any tests. So, Sonny, what do you think his plan is? What does the definition of a safe classroom look like to you?
I don't necessarily think President Trump has a plan, but I think if he did have a plan as to what a safe classroom would look like, that plan has to mirror what he believes a safe White House room has to look like. And we now know that everyone that comes in close proximity to the president must be tested, that the White House has this rapid test system that you can get a result in 5 minutes, even though the results are now said to be 50% wrong. So if we're going to open up our classrooms, and I don't think we should, then every kid has to be tested, right? We should be able to get that rapid testing program. Social distancing has to be followed. Strict social distancing guidelines, desks 6 feet apart, and everyone has to wear a mask. What are the chances that that kind of thing is really going to be implemented in our schools? It's like zero chance, because there aren't enough valid tests. Not enough valid tests. So I just think that the notion now is our children don't really matter. And I agree with you, Whoopi. You go first. You send your kids then. Yeah. Send your kids. Yeah. Because I'm not sending mine.
I just feel that all of this is smoke and mirrors. Because, first he said, I'm going to make the decisions. The governor said, no, you're not. So now the governor said, this is what we think we need to do. Now, I want to commend every governor who is out there trying to do the job they were elected to do, which is to keep their people on the up and up. And even if you feel like this is terrible, your elected officials at the government level, from governors and mayors, they're trying to do what you ask them to do. And think about it. If they weren't doing it, you'd be up there behind, because they weren't doing it. So what is the answer? I don't know.